Welcome to week one of A Link to the Past Randomizer League, Season 2. This is a match between the team of Kinda Rando Retired with SuperNinTaylor taking the spot for them versus Team Hot Dish with KegInTheCloset taking the spot for them. My name's Mercer. I'm going to be your commentator for this race. For week one, the league settings are pretty typical if you've watched Randomizer before. It's a standard, well, not standard actually, an open 7-7 defeat Ganon seed. 100% accessible inventory, basically the same settings as game one of the tournament that just wrapped up, if you watched much of that. And so after week one, things start to get a little weirder, but for week one, we're going to ease into it and everybody will be able to follow along. And we'll see where they decide to start. That is the same sprite I've seen SuperNinTaylor always use. I am not as familiar with KegInTheCloset. I don't know if I've actually seen a race of theirs before. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do here. I meant the runner, not the sprite, chat, but that's good to know. And a hammer in Link's house almost right away. Big progression on Keg's side. Gonna save and quit out after getting that. It'll be a while before Taylor gets that, but they'll get it as soon as they save and quit to Link's house. And we'll see what kind of route Taylor decides to take. Gets some green rupees off of the Tier 1 tree pole. And looks like Keg is going to set up for a hula hand glitch. You don't actually tend to see this as much in open mode anymore, but if they need money early, then this could pay off. Taylor, seeing there's just a big 300 on the Lumberjack ledge, we will not be killing Aga 1 for that. We get a map check on Keg's side. I believe I saw 2 crystals. Didn't totally see what Eastern was, but I saw crystals, I believe, at Hera and Desert. Keg heading towards escape, does have a hammer to go through escape with. Taylor not finding bombs anywhere on the north route, quits out after Lost Woods, gets his hammer, gonna head the south route over towards Kakariko, can farm some bombs from the 50-50 spot south of the Grove. Little trouble with the hammer hitbox there. And just a big 20 up on the race gang. Some bombs in the back of the tavern could save some effort there. So far, really just the hammer is a standout item, but we will get a lot more checks once Taylor gets to the north part of Kakariko here. So really just some money in the front part of Escape, not anything worth writing home about. Oh, but there's some boots in the well, so there's a very nice item to see early. Also enough money to get through Kakariko in there. Go ahead and buy your bottle vendor item, which is just some extra expensive bombs. And there's a glove in the back of Blind's hideout. So Taylor just needs a Moon Pearl for Dark World access at this point. And in Bonk Rocks, we find our first bottle. I don't know if Taylor will go turn that in yet. Probably not. Nope, going for the back of Escape. So there will be an item in Dark Cross. Not that either of our runners individually knows that yet, but we saw the key in the back of Escape and the map in the front. To admit, I'm a little surprised. It looks like Taylor is going to go turn in the sick kid check. This is a lot of walking for the one check. Was there something on what library I missed? There must have been. Ah, yes, the hook shot. I did totally miss that. That is very worth the trip. Keg fake flippering out of the hobo check. That fake flipper off of that ledge is a little tricky to set up, but does get it. To answer chat, boots were in Kakariko well. Keg has avoided Kakariko to this point. Seems to be an intentional play. But the bottle is actually locked behind the boots anyway that we've found so far. And we're going to get some Eastern area checks. Also learned that Pod has our green pendant today. And our first sword in the back of the old guy's hut, as well as the bug net, for those who want that. Nice hook shotting in the mini Muldorm cave from Taylor. And Taylor gonna check out the Ice Rod Cave. And we see Taylor setting up the water walk glitch by dashing out of that cave along the side of the pit. Now just has to jump on the water from a south-facing cliff, which this one right here is. And he can sprint on water. And Taylor gets the blue mail that Keg already had. And we'll see where Taylor decides to go next. This looks like the front of Escape and Uncle. We already know this doesn't have very much. Although full magic drops off the tree pole is nice. I don't have anything to use it on yet, but never bad to know about potential refill sources. Kept getting the boots that Taylor already had. That's kind of the crown jewel of Kakariko this seed, although the gloves are, of course, required. So we really don't have a ton of checks available that we haven't seen. Inside of Eastern, I do not believe we've seen Gina, and then Zora. And then there's some out-of-logic checks that we could get to up the mountain. And we may see those because the most likely item hiding in Eastern is, like, the lamp. Okay, we are going to see that Dark Cross room from Taylor, it looks like, setting up for a death warp. And Keg about to get that bottle. We may or may not be able to see what this item in Dark Cross is right away. Some items show up and some do not. And Keg is going to come at this dark room the other way. May have the world's most stumbling high five here in a moment. And it's a shovel, so we don't know if that's useful or not. But we are going to find out right away whether that shovel is actually worth it from Taylor. Keg, meanwhile, does not seem as concerned about it. It's 20 rupees. Congratulations. You have to think it's at least somewhat likely Taylor goes into Eastern after getting the sword and bug net here. A lot fewer locations left than Keg had earlier. And yes, this does look like SuperNinTaylor will be potentially heading in, especially upon seeing that that is a red pendant. So you might be able to get all the items and then just never come back here. And it does actually look like Keg is gonna follow SuperNinTaylor into here, meaning an extra trip to this area for Keg. Probably didn't really want to jump down there. May have forgotten that he already raided the old man's closet for a moment, or just overdashed out of habit. First item in there is half magic. Not gonna complain about it. And the dream of a God Eastern, where you never have to think about looking at the vanilla big key chest, is dead as the compass gets found. What do we have? The map in the big chest. That was the last in logic item without the lamp, but that's probably not going to stop either of our runners, as there is definitely an item in the vanilla big key chest. Hopefully there's not progression on Armos, or they'll be coming back for that later. So in logic, to answer chat, the ones I can think of are Agana and Zora. Might, rather than doing those, just trust that it's the lamp rather than the moon pearl, both of which unlock a lot of items, and just head up the mountain. But no, doesn't look like it. These checks are both kind of obnoxious to do, but very good chance that they have something more useful than the lamp, and even the lamp would be our fire source for the moment. But that is a fairy in a bottle, so not the answer, not the worst safety. That looks like setting up to go to Zora on Taylor's side. That would have been Sanctuary, probably, otherwise. Gonna set up for a water walk for this, rather than fake flipping and swimming it. I guess it could have been storing the water walk instead to maybe get an item off Zora's ledge, but no, just going with that. Taylor grabs... Okay, that's a mirror out of the waterfall cave. That's a nice boost. That is not the item we were looking for in terms of our logical progression, but pretty good chance we have to have that. And even if we don't, it's nice. Okay. Huh. So the only thing I could think of that opens within logic is King's Tomb. Am I forgetting something? So not going up the mountain, definitely paying off. Those you're gonna need those. That really was not the item I was anticipating them finding. Oh, but there's our... Dark World is open to us, and the lamp can be all kinds of horrible places. But as long as they find the fire rod somewhere, they might not need it. And our first coin out of Hype Cave. Let's see what else we get. Master Sword. Yeah. Sword. Yeah, I'll definitely take that out of 5 chests. I don't really love running around Dark World with Fighter Sword. So Keg, not terribly far behind SuperNinTaylor, maybe a couple of minutes on getting the Moon Pearl. Does start to walk out. So maybe planning on routing it a little different from... The old 2-dig game, but not much of value. And we do get a good long map check. That mirror might not be required after all. Swamp is our remaining pendant. Ice Palace, Misery Mire are our 5-6 crystals. So kind of high-ish requirements to get to Pyramid Fairy today. Oh, there's our flippers. That brings that mirror back into logic. Though, given Swamp being a pendant, I think they might have been happy if it wasn't. Ooh, book out of Skull Woods. Keg, I believe, was setting up that Death Warp intentionally as a health refill. You can always just get grabbed by the hand here, and had that fairy in the bottle. Is Keg planning on checking pedestal? Or just grabbing that key, I guess. Cape out of Village of Outcasts. And Taylor getting a map check in, and seeing the information we already had from Keg's side. And going into Thieves Town, full clearable crystal dungeons, always a good time. To answer chat, oh, hey, there's our lamp. That's actually nowhere near as mean as like some potential places it could have been, like the front part of Turtle Rock or something. So Thieves Town actually has the lowest item requirements of any Dark World dungeon. Blind can be damaged with the hammer, sword, or either cane. And other than that, you just need the hammer for the big chest. The mitts are here in vanilla. You don't actually need them for anything in the dungeon. If you come in here without the hammer, there's a reasonable chance that the big chest will not have an item, because it can have the small key that locks that room, although that introduces some interesting key logic, or it can have the map or compass. It's not really much of interest in Thieves Town so far, but again, it is a crystal that you can full clear, which is a good way of saying just go ahead and do it. So yeah, no small key yet. I believe that means it is locking itself. Or it's locked into the in the big key chest. If I remember my key logic correctly, this means that blind is locked by the hammer, but given that that was in Link's house, that's fine. Keg does the first part of the smith chain, just a heart piece. Taylor doing a version of the scripted blind fight. Very clean, very nicely done. That's a tempered sword as a prize. If Keg goes in there, we'll be going through the dungeon with Fighter Sword, as Keg hasn't gotten over to Hype Cave yet. Not a disadvantage on blind, really. A little bit shorter of a sword, but does the same damage. A little obnoxious for going through the dungeon, but it's mostly fine. We'll probably get tempered at some point. You have to think he'll get it over to Hype Cave, before the end of the game. Speaking of swords, is he really? Okay, I was thinking Taylor would bypass that, but gonna just go ahead and grab the butter sword. I'm a little surprised to see him take the time to pick it up. It probably will save time overall. There are a few fights where it makes a difference. One of those fights is not particularly Ganon, but, it's fine. And I don't think he's going to do much. Also worth mentioning for those in chat who may not know, Mothula does not actually take any damage from the gold sword in vanilla. In the randomizer, that's fixed so that he takes tempered sword damage. Taylor's swag gets interrupted rudely by an enemy as he hovers. It does hit the map there, mid-hover, and continue it. Almost gets knocked off by the mini Moldorm again on the other side. I'm fairly certain that would just be categorized as showing off. I am somewhere between 100 and 105% certain that Taylor knows those bomb jumps. So let's see where Taylor decides to go. You have to think the mountain is going to call out to them at some point here soon. There's like 20 items accessible up there. We are going to get a graveyard ledge check. And this is the closest that Taylor's going to be to it, given King's Tomb and Bonkrocks had already been checked. It is a single green rupee, totally worth the trip. Maybe about to continue on to Catfish. Keg gets blind down, gets the Master Sword for the trouble. Thus ending the Fighter Sword versus Butter Sword between the two runners, who were not actually that far apart. And one fish had value today, which is one more than normally does. Taylor having a little bit of trouble with this area and leaving. SuperNinTaylor doing a lot of this overworld checking. Big 20 on Pyramid Ledge. Keg covering a couple of checks that SuperNinTaylor had already done, but this purple chest will be new information. It is a cane, but it is not the cane that they would have wanted to see. Just the cane of Berna. And it looks like we're getting a Bombos tablet check out of SuperNinTaylor. Keg did not do that while in the area. And it's just a heart container. Keg looks to be heading into Swamp. Full clearable pendant dungeon. 6 items in there, so reasonable chance that there is something of value. A little unfortunate he didn't stop by Hype Cave first. The Tempered Sword is kind of nice to have if he does fight Argus. And a fetch quest item right off the bat within Swamp with the magic powder. A little taunting there for Keg, given already. And Keg going a long way around for this chest that you don't really see in vanilla. I think that's the vanilla contents as well. I believe that is actually the compass chest. Not 100% sure. Taylor getting ready to fight. And Mullis, guess this is just going to be with the butter sword, one of the better options available. I mean, the butter sword's a pretty good option as things go, certainly better than the fighter sword, which is most people's casual weapon of choice. And let's see. Yeah, just powder so far from Swamp, really. Yeah, using slashes, checking height first would have helped quite a bit here. And SuperNinTaylor. There's a nice hammer hit in there from Keg. And the old man wants to blow Link up with some bombs. But let's see what else might be up here. There are quite a few items awaiting. There's one that's worth it all on its own with the red cane waiting. And so Keg upgrading to tempered as SuperNinTaylor picks up the red cane. And Keg heading over towards Pod. This is also a pendant and likely one that's going to lock things down pretty early with no bow. There are a few ways that Keg could get past that requirement if it's laid out that way, though. But won't be able to finish the dungeon unless there's a bow within here. And SuperNinTaylor looks like gonna be checking the basement. I'm assuming this means the big key is down here. May not have learned the Hera Pot glitch. As the team name suggests, he's kinda retired. Or may just know it and have decided to grab that to be safe and check the big chest. Having a little trouble with setting up the Harapot glitch. Meanwhile, Keg going through the dark maze of Pod. And with the third try, SuperNinTaylor ducks out. To just go up the, normal way. Keg, you're gonna need the big key for that particular chest. Gets reminded. Not sure which checks Keg hasn't done yet. So the pod trip, kind of a bust for Keg. Bails out. SuperNinTaylor gets rejected on the first attempt to get off the platform by Moldorm, but then immediately destroys him with a gold sword poke and slash. And raises aloft his third crystal. Still has quite a lot of the mountain to explore too, both light and dark. Just a red meringue on the floating island. I don't think we'll be seeing them pick that up, menu inconvenience or not. And the key to Turtle Rock was in Spectacle Rock with that Bombos medallion. Could go in here, not going to do that right this second. If he finds one of the rods, might be kind of an interesting decision, depending on which one. But a lot of items to check first. A free red potion, definitely not going to complain about that. I think this is the mountain play from Keg, and that does seem to... no, I'm wrong. Oh, no, I'm right. Okay. This is the way that Keg needs to go, we think. At least a few items up here already that SuperNinTaylor's found. Gonna check the lumberjack item. SuperNinTaylor did that at the beginning of the game, but Keg hasn't seen it yet. Okay, let's see these last few items. Hey, there's our other boomerang. Well, let's see where SuperNinTaylor goes. Ice Palace seems a reasonable option. That Bombos medallion means it's full clearable. That's not the way you would go to do that, though. Gonna do that mushroom turn in. Okay, that makes total sense to do right quick. Can do a soft reset and fake powder. So if that powder was the key in Swamp, SuperNinTaylor might actually get to just dodge it. So I'm guessing we see a soft reset unless this is something. And it is not. But no, looks like going to continue. Picking up a potion. I believe that one of those balls is a fairy. And is this going to be the Ice Palace play now? So with that, you know, there's a chance that if this powder leads to something that could be an edge Keg has. So 3 items and a crystal in Ice Palace waiting for SuperNinTaylor. We'll see what they are. Big things we're still looking for are the flute, the 2 rods, technically the bow, potentially Quake. The bow's kind of interesting in that they might not need it this seed if they can do the Mimic clip. Since Pod and Eastern are both pendants. You can't. That's news to me. Did the council change the rules? Yes, it is not the potion glitch, it is a different clip. It is a very annoying clip, but... And I don't know if Taylor knows it or not. We may find out. But they might just find a bow somewhere along the way. But, you know, with Pod and Eastern both as pendants, this could be one of the seeds where that can come up. And knowledge of that glitch could be game deciding. I definitely saw races in the most recent tournament where that swung the match. And Keg going to grab Bombos and presumably the cane right after. And there's one of our items out of Ice Palace. It's 10 more arrows for the bow we don't have. And there's our big key right above the big key chest. Or big chest. The big key chest is over on the right side. So, I believe the last item has been on Cold Stare this whole time. And this fight should go pretty smoothly for SuperNinTaylor with that butter sword. No fire rod to break it quickly or to get extra damage on, but shouldn't need it. We do get away from them. Gonna have to be a little careful here. I believe getting hit will kill. Still has the fairy, I think. Yeah. Definitely don't want to take an actual death there. It's one of the worst boss deaths in the game in terms of a run back. No real items of value there, but 5-6 crystal, not going to complain too much. Still, that doesn't leave any like immediately obviously great options to go to next. So let's see what SuperNinTaylor does. Heading to the mountain. Is this the Fire Rodless TR play or Spike Cave? Looks like Spike Cave. Well, there's Ether if Meyer happens to be Ether. Or not Ether, Quake. I'm good at words. So, might be very glad to have that in a while. Looks like Keg is about to get it as well. And grabs a fairy with that bug net from earlier. Looks to be the pod play out of SuperNinTaylor. I believe Keg got everything that's in logic here, but didn't check right side. So with glitches, SuperNinTaylor may be able to break a logic chain here. Kind of an interesting choice to do this over the full clearable Pendant Swamp. I certainly don't blame him, given that nobody really wants to do Swamp if you don't have to. We're about to see Magic Bat, which is essentially the only real thing we got out of Swamp. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So that opens up all sorts of fun possibilities, and could have just made a major swing in the game, because now Pod and Eastern are clearable. They're both pendants. I believe this is Keg going to check on Pedestal, because Pedestal is also accessible with those two down and already having the swamp clear. And so SuperNinTaylor has burned his mushroom and cannot get it back at this point. Powder is in the first chest in Swamp. So this could be really interesting, especially if something is here on Ped or is locked behind the bow in Eastern, or well, it's not on Ped, but could be on Armos Knights, could be the Green Pendant, could be on Helmasaur. SuperNinTaylor is going to sequence break to get to a couple of chests that Keg did not get to on the first trip over to Pod. With version 31, there are progressive bows. There is another bow somewhere in the game. It is possible Taylor could find that one instead. It is also possible that the bow is not actually required this seed, although they are running a little light on places to check. There is the Turtle Rock dive without either rod that somebody did suggest. We have not actually... well, we see it now. The single arrow gets found. There is an item on Helmasaur King, as I believe both these items, or both these chests in Dark Maze are the map and compass. The bow is always logically required. It is possible to beat the game without it by using the Mimic Clip in GT where you walk them out of bounds frame by frame. That is So let's see where Keg goes to. To answer chat, progressive bows are new to this version of the randomizer, but are now several months old at this point. Basically, instead of silver arrows being a separate item, the first of those 2 item spots you find are going to be the bow, and the second will upgrade your arrows to silver. But that's Taylor heading into Swamp. So we're going to get the powder here, and from what we know, not a whole lot else. No, I did lose track of whether Keg had found any dungeon items in here. Did not do left side, so there could be items Keg did not get in here. I'm not totally certain. And as our runners kind of go through dungeons that the other has done, give a follow to our 2 runners today. They're putting on quite the show for us. Always great that we have people willing to go on stream, let us watch and talk about them, and they deserve your follows for that. And let's see. To answer chat, in Eastern and Pod, both dungeon bosses have items that we have not seen. We saw the map and compass in both dungeons before that. Otherwise, I believe all chests have been seen. Pod also has the green pendant turn in right outside, of course. Taylor's Argus fight can be just a little quicker than Keg's. This is very nice technique. The butter sword also helps a lot. So it does have one of the dungeon items. There is one item left in Swamp. We'll see if Taylor goes back in for it or not. Is going back in for it. This could be a large turning point as well, if this remaining item in Swamp is something of value. And if it's not, it's going to give Keg about like 2 minutes of Taylor moving switches and flipping blocks and all that good stuff. Looks like this is the Ice Palace play out of Keg, which is a dungeon that Taylor already has done, but a chance for Keg to make up some ground. In particular, if he doesn't full clear and goes to Cold Stare, might save some time. Hard to see him doing that at this point, given picks up a bomb upgrade and an air upgrade just to refill, I guess, with 1,300 rupees or whatever he had going in there. Totally worth it. And moment of truth time, although knowing Swamp, the big key and the map will be over here and you'll have to walk back to the big chest. I mean, when you're right, you're right. Now the moment of truth comes up. And that was truly unnecessary, is the truth. So we're kind of down. I can't think of anywhere else. I think we're down to the dungeon bosses of Eastern and Pod, and then, you know, diving into Turtle Rock with neither rod. And this looks like Taylor might be doing the purple chest. I don't know if he did that. And Magic Bat, of course. Yeah, didn't do... I'm guessing the Magic Bat might send him here and off, but he might do the purple chest being right here. No flute to make it like super quick, but can do the chest mirror glitch to at least sprint down there. And taking the portal back tells me probably going to do that purple chest. Okay, just going to save quit out. That works too. Respawn at Link's house and go turn that in. Yeah, Keg has already done this. This is the Cane of Burna, I believe. And but it totally makes sense to do that versus going for some dungeons that are 1 or 2 items when you're right at that purple chest. Let's see. I'm guessing that we see the Eastern Pod sad combo out of SuperNinTaylor now, though. SuperNinTaylor has full cleared pod other than the boss. Potion glitch to get to the right side. Not sure what happened with audio there. We'll see if we can get that back up. But SuperNinTaylor, meanwhile, heading towards Palace of Darkness. And it's just going to be quick in and out here to the boss. Okay, heading into Cold Stare here. And is just on Tempered Sword. We'll see if this goes a little smoother than SuperNinTaylor's fight did. A chance to make up a little bit of time on a boss here. Gonna need to be careful. Did grab a fairy earlier. I believe still has that one. Used one in Skullwoods, but used the bug net to refill. But gets it cleanly and gets the 50 rupees for the trouble, gets the crystal somewhat more importantly. So we briefly tie on crystal counts. Actually, not that briefly, because this Helmasaur kill is just going to get a pendant. And just going to use the gold sword to finish it. Let's see if this is our progression. Well, the 20 rupees isn't, but maybe the green pendant is. We'll see if I would assume SuperNinTaylor is going to do Armos Knights before turning that in, but I could be wrong. As Keg heads over to not not too far behind. Basically, just the Helmasaur kill. And decent amount of divergence, but we're kind of back together now, and looks like SuperNinTaylor has a slight advantage here, a few minutes. It really comes down to where is the next progression. If it ends up being on green pendant and Keg heads straight for that, could save some time. Although does still have to do the left side, did not do a glitch, unlike SuperNinTaylor on the first trip. And SuperNinTaylor getting ready to head into that Armos Knights fight. If it's not here or on the green pendant, I think it has to be somewhere in Turtle Rock that we can get to without the fire rod. Which I believe some of chat was calling for trying about 40 minutes ago, somewhat hilariously. Okay, well, let's see what's on the old guy. And the real moment of truth. I'm not actually sure what Taylor hasn't done. Oh, it's the flute. Okay, that opens up a decent amount. Mostly Mire area related, such as, Misery Mire itself, Checkerboard Cave, and Mire's Shed. Also opens up Pyramid Fairy because Misery Mire is full clearable. And Taylor going to activate the flute. So now we just need those 2 rods. Now there's half of them, and the more annoying half in a lot of ways. So, 1 item here from Go Mode. Just need that fire rod. And let's see what's in Meyer. We've got 2 items here for us. Is one of them our last necessary item in the fire rod? Just misses on the 1 cycle for that Meyer 2 room, but cleans it up pretty quickly. I love watching our expert runners do that because they're all much better than my personal, like, 5 or 6 cycle of that room. To answer chat, yes, fire rod can be on laser bridge, and yes, it requires a pretty specific key layout. I've seen it in lava chest a few times. I've never actually seen fire rod on laser bridge in modes other than inverted. But it can happen, and I'm sure plenty of people out there have had it happen. Let's see if Keg makes the Galaxy Brain play of not doing Eastern before checking that green pendant. It will work out for him if he does. Yeah, it's 1 item either direction. It's really hard to justify doing the green pendant first. But it would have worked out for him this time. And we'll see just how he goes after this. It seems pretty linear from this point. But until we find that fire rod, you know, it's still up in the air. That is an awful Meyer layout. Oh, but there it is. Big Chest of Misery Meyer has our fire rod. And with that, SuperNinTaylor enters go mode at 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 55-ish seconds. And nice to find that without going up. So my area with both our rods. SuperNinTaylor still needs 3 more crystals, so we'll be here, and then Skullwoods, and then Turtle Rock. Even gets paid off. Tried Spooky Action must have lost the setting for it at some point. I did see him set up the duck position on the flute. but I don't know everything about that particular glitch, so. And heading into the, pulls out the bow, only has one arrow, so I don't think that bow is going to do very much. Does need to not die. Yeah, and I think just realized, oh, don't have the 8 arrows to do this. But Cape and Gold Sword makes it somewhat easy pickings. And we'll see. I mean, gotta be off to Skullwoods. No? Okay. Well, this is going to cost SuperNinTaylor an extra mountain climb unless I've completely lost my mind. It's fair enough. I wonder if he'll remember before walking over to Ganon's Tower or not. My guess is not that he forgot he didn't finish Skullwoods, but that he forgot Skullwoods was a pendant. Or not, it was a crystal, rather. His words are hard. Only cost, I mean, the extra climb will cost about 50, 60 seconds. It's not the end of the world by any means, but it is time that Keg can make up. And making his way through Turtle Rock pretty nicely. That room with the chain jumps is one of the more dangerous rooms in the game, and masterfully clears it. Does smartly grab the arrow refill there. You do need, for a given value of need, 8 arrows to get up GT if you're using the normal bow. And that's not even taking into account a potential Ice Armors fight. And gonna skip the lava chest. We'll see how he routes this. Okay, yeah, also gonna... There is a pretty small chance that he can get locked out here. I forget the exact odds. It's low, but not impossible, of both the lava chest and the big key chest. Or not the big key chest, the big chest having small keys. So, gonna need a small key to show up on Laser Bridge. Taylor even has the mirror shield. It does use it on that second one. It was doing the skips on the first one. Does get that small key, so gonna be okay here. Again, it's very uncommon to get locked out if you are able to steal the key from the lava chest. It's much more dangerous if you had to go in there to skip the big chest. Okay, and Keg does go and get the fire rod, enters go mode. I think that's about 7 minutes behind Taylor. Taylor getting through phase 1 of Trinex. This is actually the fight where the Butter Sword is the nicest to have, I think. And down goes Trinex. Let's see if Taylor remembers he doesn't have 7 crystals yet, or if he goes over to GT. Yeah, that's a big ol' lie. Yep. May have had something that I know I do where I get Skullwoods and Swamp Palace mixed up in my head because they start with the same letters. Yeah. Yep. Happens to everybody. Not going to be a huge deal here. Is going to cost him like, a minute or so for the extra climb. But the lead is bigger than that, so it's going to take more than that to make up for it. Keg's only got 6 arrows. That's not enough to finish this phase. But we'll at least get a lot of the damage in. There's Keg's fifth crystal. And a nice Mothula fight there from SuperNinTaylor. Keg heading into Skullwoods, tight on Taylor's heels, but we'll still have to do Turtle Rock after this, whereas SuperNinTaylor will just have to make the climb up to GT. Not sure what the max difference on a big key in Ganon's Tower could be. I think this lead is beyond that. And it's going to take some kind of serious problem from SuperNinTaylor for Keg to catch up at this point. But we will see what happens. I don't know if we have the bot in for these games, but if you want to... it appears we do not. Feel free to put a number in chat if you want to make a guess. Oh, or just I don't have the ability to start it. And this time, Ganon's Tower will open up for SuperNinTaylor, entering into it around the 147 mark, a few seconds after. And heading towards Hope Room to start with, at least. No hope, no key, no choice but to head left. Or do Tile Room, but nobody's that crazy. Alright, let's see what's in the Stalfos room. Some arrows, some free red potions. I think that might be our fourth bottle. Another small key. And the big key. That would have been number 7. So congratulations, anybody who guessed 7 on your, roulette-like ability to guess a number and then have it come up at random. Looks like it was Holy Dana. And we're gonna see a climb here. I'm expecting Taylor to kind of put on a clinic here, especially with the pretty good loadout that he has for this. And using some fire rod strats here. I love watching those. I'm very bad at them myself. Heading into land mode 2. Gonna just use a combination of butter sword and fire rod, it looks like. Wants to conserve at least a little magic. Although I believe has a blue potion from earlier and a couple of reds. And half magic. And getting through a couple of those Cane of Samaria rooms that just look so sweet when you do them, and they're not even actually that hard. The fun part about this game is that the things that look really impressive, a lot of them are not terribly difficult, and a lot of the things that don't look terribly difficult are borderline impossible. Still doing a couple of checks here. Silver arrows would be nice. And Moldorm tries to be a jerk, but Taylor takes down the worm. And red mail in our final chest there across the bridge. I suppose that's sort of an upgrade. It does make this fight even safer, but not the silver arrows that would have actually saved some time. Nice double salvaged there. They are getting a little desynced now, but down they go. And no silvers. We will get a hint as to where they were. I'm guessing somewhere in GT, given how much of everything else we saw. But phase 1 and 2 will be pretty free with the butter sword, and then butter or tempered, either way, it is 12 silverless spins in phase 4. And yeah, there's phase 1 in the books, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Only needs 6 swings here. Definitely got that. Gonna go into phase 3. And this portion is seeded for the first attempt, so Buckrunners would get the same teleports on their first try at Ganon. Arrows in Dark World. That probably means Pyramid Fairy. I don't know how many other spots didn't get checked. Some nice silverless strats here from SuperNinTaylor. That was a triple. And down goes Ganon. So everybody get your GGs in chat for SuperNinTaylor. Finishes with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, 15 seconds for a first place finish, a first win in the league for week 1. Still lots of time to go, and there will be another match between the two teams this week at some point as well. But for the moment, congratulations to SuperNinTaylor. We'll see if they want to join us for an interview or not. But in the meantime, Keg entering Ganon's Tower. Looks like going to end up doing the same route as Hope Room offers no small key to proceed. While they go through, I will mention that there is another league match on this channel in about half an hour after this one. So if you're enjoying the league action, stick around and you can see more of it. And Keg gonna head up the gauntlet now. And Keg just getting through these mimical rooms. Momentarily confuses me as there's that room with 30 arrows left over, and I remember that Keg bought some arrow upgrades earlier. Or not some, they bought a arrow upgrade earlier. Nice use of the fire rod there to clean it up, heading into this room with conveyor belt and ice and just pain if things go wrong. May want to be just a touch careful. Grab some extra magic here. I believe we are joined by the winner of this race, SuperNinTaylor. Good game and congratulations.
Hey, sorry, I wasn't sure if I was allowed to just let myself in or not, but here I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of a long one.
Yeah, it certainly was. A couple of what I'm sure were non-pleasant item locations, particularly that flute on the green pendant.
Yeah. At that point, I was kind of hoping it was just pestle. That would have made it more worth it.
Keg had done a check on Ped after getting the bow off Magic Bat, which Keg did actually get the bow a little earlier. Did some early pendant dives.
Yeah.
But
I thought about it.
Yeah, the Ped was just couch cash.
Okay.
Keg needs to be a little careful here.
Yeah, I could tell that was definitely my first race in quite a while. Just the way I routed some things. I was halfway through routing it, and I'm just thinking, like, why am I routing it this way? This makes no sense. There's just so many little things that I just kind of slipped out of my mind since I haven't played in a number of months.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch in some ways, because I've seen you race before, although not recently, as you just mentioned. And, like, there were moments where you were on point and executing well, and then there were points where just a little bit of the rust did show, like the unfortunate extra trip up the mountain.
Yeah, that was oops, a little bit of a brain fart there.
It definitely happens to everybody. Nothing to be ashamed of on it. I think it probably is just the kind of retired portion showing, maybe.
Yeah, I did have a little bit of execution issues in certain parts. Some of it is the controller I'm using. The D-pad is a little bit weird. Like you might have noticed me like canceling dashes a few times. That's because my D-pad was doing something silly, or I was swinging the wrong direction and getting bopped because of it. I'm gonna look into getting a new one soon.
Sure. Is it a different one than you've used in the past, or did you just is it just wearing out?
It's the same one, I think. I mean, I have a whole bunch, so maybe I grabbed the wrong one by accident, but I think it's the same one I've been using. It's probably just getting worn out or something. I have kind of played with the screws a little bit, like loosening and tightening, so that could affect it.
Sure, and that is quite the collection rate on your side, especially given that it was a fairly early GT Big Key.
174, yeah. Not bad. It's probably going to hurt my fantasy points for whoever has me. So I think the more you collect, the fewer points you get, I think is how it worked.
I'm the wrong person to ask. I haven't looked at that at all. I probably should have.
And I was bonking like crazy. You lose a point every time you bonk, so sorry to whoever has me in their fantasy league.
Keg dropping down into the Ganon fight here. But yeah, so was this your first race? Had you done any like dailies to warm back up, or just jumped into it with this one?
It's my first one in quite a while. It might be my first one since October.
Oh, sure.
Because October was when I did the Speed Gaming Live one. And I don't know if I raced since then. I can't remember if I did or not. But I haven't been racing much if I did.
Yeah, that's definitely far better than I would do on that much rust myself. So hopefully that'll shake it off. Especially because we're getting into some weird stuff later on in this league. Mystery seeds and co-piloted spoiler log ones and all. I recommend to anyone in the audience who hasn't taken a look at it to look at the league website to see the upcoming events.
Yeah, that co-op spoiler log one actually sounds really interesting.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to that one. The spoiler log tournament last year was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I've never done anything like that. I mean, I've done a spoiler log race, but I've never had like one person read the spoiler log and the other try to follow their instruction.
And Keg into these silverless spins on Ganon, getting it fairly cleanly. Ooh, I say that and then a little bit of trouble, but
Oh, he doesn't have a live split?
yeah, it didn't have a timer up. Not sure if that was a stream issue or just, I think Keg may be relatively new to racing. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
But it's good to see. It's good to see them going out. Yeah, they were just a step behind. Otherwise, there were some divergences. Particularly, Keg did go to Swamp a lot earlier, but didn't get the bow before doing like a pod dip.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I had so many options, I didn't really know what to do. I just kept choosing random things. Ended up pretty much full clear in the whole world. It's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking like it was Eastern Pod, the Green Pendant, or rodless Turtle Rock Dive. But get your
Yeah.
GGs in chat for Keg as Keg wraps up Ganon there.
GG. Yeah, I thought about dipping Turtle Rock right when I opened it, but it's like I don't have Fire Rod or Ice Rod, so I just had so many other options. Maybe not so many, but a few other options at that point.
Yeah, that's a tough one to do. But
Yeah.
so Keg finishes in second place with an official time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, 24 seconds. We'll see if they want to join us here. I'm not totally sure if they will or not. Yeah, I mean, especially when you first opened it, I mean, you had still quite a lot of items just on the mountain to do. Paradox Cave and all those, but even after that, you had like crystals you could clear.
Some that I forgot I could clear. Like that was just part of another part of not playing in a while. Like I completely forgot Death Mountain was open for a while because I didn't mark the lantern. And then I, for some reason, forgot Ice Palace existed until I was like, oh hey, I can do Ice Palace. Just a lot of little things. So I just gotta get back in the groove.
Yeah, but I mean, it's actually kind of nice to see some of the players on your team back on the circuit. I had missed watching a few of y'all. It does look like we might be getting Keg in here.
Hello.
And we are joined by Keg in the Closet. GG.
GG, Keg.
GG. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
Well, at least I think I would do better than Lady Boxleaf. Unfortunately, she's pretty ill right now, so...
I don't think she would have wanted to sit through that 2-hour run.
No, not at all.
I was actually starting to get worried at the end. I was like, it's approaching 2 hours. Like, how close is he to finishing?
Right, and I was just waiting for the dot done since like hour 40 or something like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So my strategy, I watched your VODs how you did the qualifiers. So I just did stuff completely different than what you would. And then the big thing was dipping swamp. But I, for a long time, forgot that I had the powder, which gave me the bow, and I'm like, I should probably use that to my advantage, but never, or was like pretty late to getting that.
Do you know how to do fake powder?
Yeah, I know how to do fake powder, but I got the powder before I got cane.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah. So no, I lost a tournament race from someone using fake powder.
Ooh.
I think that was the race that eliminated me from the tournament. Someone used fake powder, and I threw my mushroom away to the witch.
Oh
and
no.
It was GG.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that might bite you this time, although Keg wouldn't have been fake powdering, just but you did use your mushroom and could have dodged the swamp dive entirely with the fake powder.
Definitely.
But no, it was kind of an interesting one because you did diverge a lot, but then at points you were funneled into the same places just by the nature of the seed, particularly the flute into mire area play.
For sure.
Yeah. It's just kind of one of those areas you hope to be able to avoid, but funnels you into it, and you're like, guess it's one of these things.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't stick around too much longer. I have to actually be somewhere in 9 minutes, so maybe I'll just say my goodbyes now. But thanks for commentating and tracking, and GG Keg. It was fun.
GG.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and GG. Okay, any other thoughts on the seed or on the race?
There's definitely some pretty big oofs that I remember. I forgot to check the ledge on Zora. It ended up being nothing. But I also, when I went back to check it after checking Catfish, was gonna do Graveyard and Bumper to go up to the Death Mountain checks. But I save and quit instead of going back and going into the portal and doing the full route.
Sure. Bumper Ledge was the butter sword.
Correct.
I
I saw it
later.
later.
Did see it. Okay.
Yeah.
I did notice you go by Zora Ledge later. I was a little curious on that, but figured you had just not gone right enough to look at it, which I've certainly done before.
Yeah, I was so zoned into getting Zora that I totally forgot to check the ledge. So, because I think that was one of the last things I had to check before getting Moon Pearl.
Yes, both of you. That was the very last in logic check that you had at the time.
Was that Mitts?
It was Mitts, and then that only opened up Kingstone, which was the Moon Pearl.
Right, makes sense.
But yeah, it was kind of an interesting seed for a lot of obnoxious reasons, but not any terribly strong outliers or anything. Just a lot of irritating things.
Right. Yeah, definitely. At least it wasn't Aga. At least it wasn't bad, but it's pretty much a full clear.
Yeah, I mean you could have bailed out of swamp after the first chest, but that would be a crazy play, and you would not really do that.
Right. I had left one item on left side, and it was always in the back of my mind.
Yeah, it actually was the left side. It wasn't even in the left side because it was just the big key over there. It was, I think, 50 rupees in the big chest.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense. Yeah, but I think we do have another race coming up before too long, so I should start to clear out here for them. But any last thoughts before I wrap us up here?
No, I just want to thank you for the restream. This was my first major restream, so that was pretty cool. Thanks for the trackers and all the setup behind it. It's pretty new to the league, so it's pretty fun to get out there and race people that I don't even know. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always great to see runners you haven't seen before. It's good to watch people get involved in it. I think that's my favorite part of these events.
Yeah, sure.
So let's everybody follow the runners here. That was SuperNinTaylor and KegInTheCloset. There will also, I believe, be a second game between these two teams, other members of them later in the week. Not totally sure when that is.
Yeah, I think it's Thursday. It's Keong versus Sneakbat.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fun. I haven't seen Kyung in
Yeah.
a while either.
Super excited.
So I'll be interested to watch that one. But yeah, give both our runners here a follow. Give our tracker today, who was helping out in chat as well, a follow. Our tracker today having been Worldwide Wimpy. Also, follow for more tournament action, Speed Gaming channel, main channel, and then Speed Gaming 236, as well as the league channels for this event. Those are ALTTPR League 1 through 4. And other than that, everybody have a great night. Stay tuned for more racing action and run fast.